Welcome to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski, and welcome to Planet Positive Practices. Why reuse and recycle? Because every item saved protects our planet's resources, cuts pollution, and also saves on our budget. When getting rid of old devices, are you worried about your data? We'll find out how to wipe personal information before recycling to stay safe. And we'll also discuss where to take electronics to dispose of them and balance new technology with less e-waste. This means repairing, reusing, and making smart upgrades. So tomorrow's innovations won't cost the earth or your wallet. So let's make every action count. Today, I'm joined by Stephanie McLarty, Head of Sustainability at Quantum Lifecycle Partners, and she's here with me. How are you, Stephanie?
I'm great, Liz. Thank you so much for having me here.
I am so excited to talk to you because I want you to explain to everybody, what do you do and what inspired you to do it?
Yeah, well, Liz, I didn't expect to end up in the electronics recycling space. I basically followed open doors, and it started out in my 20s. For a summer job, I worked at a major telecom company wearing steel-toed boots, and I went out to the old network sites, physically pulling the old equipment and figuring out what to do with it. And that led into the realization that even though that telecom company didn't really want to deal with that e-waste, they wanted to maintain and upgrade their networks, there were other companies that wanted it. And so I started my own company, ran that for many years, and then we were acquired by Quantum Lifecycle Partners in 2022. So now I'm head of sustainability at Quantum. We are the largest electronics recycler and reuse company in Canada, and we basically figure out what to do with your old equipment.
Okay, I love it. I just want to step back for a moment because you said you were wearing steel-toe boots.
I was.
I did too.
Oh, did you?
When I was younger, yes. I wore them in high school, and then I wore them when I first started working in television broadcasting, pulling cables and carrying really heavy stuff. So it's so funny because I never thought about that until you just mentioned it.
Wow. And isn't it amazing how it really informs you at a different level, having done the actual work yourself? So I'm really blessed, and I'm also blessed now to not have to wear them so often.
Yeah, I actually prefer stilettos, so let's
Yes.
just walk away from those, right?
Yes, totally.
Okay, so let's just go back to basics. Why is it important to reuse and recycle?
There are many reasons why it's important to reuse and recycle, environmentally, socially, financially. Environmentally, when you think about items, especially electronics, have toxins in them. So if it ends up in landfill, those toxins can leach into our soils and our water systems. And also from an emissions standpoint, it takes a lot of greenhouse gas emissions to manufacture something, to pull the materials out of the earth, manufacture it into a product. So environmentally, it makes the most sense. Also socially, if you can donate an item, then it contributes to what's called digital equity, basically ensuring access to technology for everyone. And then financially too, what we see is, especially for electronics, it helps organizations to make money back through the recovery of commodities or the remarketing of assets. It also helps them to save money. I know you're all about frugality.
I'm all about making frugality fashionable.
It is very fashionable in the electronics recycling space because basically you're helping companies to save money or to make money on the flip side as well.
So what is electronic waste and why is it particularly bad? Because I see all of these electric bicycles now and scooters, and they all have these crazy batteries with a lot of lithium and everything else inside there. So explain it to me, please.
You're absolutely right. There's so much now that is smart, that there is batteries or circuit boards embedded in it. And so if that ends up in the landfill, then the lithium, for example, can get out into the soil or the water. But also there's a risk around fires as well if they're not managed properly. Yeah. So that's why it's important that if you do not need your electronics any longer, to then move it to the next appropriate step.
Okay, so when we come back, we're going to discuss more about why this is so important not only for the environment, your household, but for your wallet as well. So don't go away. We will be right back with more Stephanie's tips because this is really important for all of us to understand and to actually implement into our lives. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Today we're discussing planet positive practices for work and life. So Stephanie, are we good at recycling? Because I feel that I'm a really good citizen because I keep filling up that blue bin.
Yeah, unfortunately, as a whole, we're not great at recycling.
How so?
So from an electronic standpoint,
Okay.
only about 22% of electronics are actually formally recycled globally. A lot sit in closets and drawers, and that's called electronic hibernation.
Oh,
And it's something that we need to address as we move forward, and we need to get the critical minerals out of our dormant devices. But also on a blue box perspective, it is great to do the right thing. Put your cans and your plastics where they need to go. It doesn't always end up at recycling, depending on the recycling infrastructure of municipalities. But we're seeing that really change, and new rules are coming out, and a new system as of January 2026.
yeah, there's a new system coming in, I think, for every different municipalities, different provinces, and everything else. So is there a truth to reduce, reuse, recycle being in that order?
Yeah, we learn about this concept
Right?
of reduce, reuse, recycle in
Right.
school,
Yes.
right? And it is a simple concept that people can wrap their heads around. It actually does have a lot of truth to it. It may not be perfect,
Mhm.
but it does have truth. Why? Because you should start on the reduce level. Reduce your need for items. Think twice about, do you really need to buy something new?
And that saves your wallet as well.
It does save your wallet,
Mhm.
absolutely. Also look at reducing your impact. So it could be, in terms of devices, unplugging them at night so they don't trickle the energy. And what's so interesting, Liz, is that in nature, there is no waste. Everything is reused and recycled. So when we think about eliminating waste through reduction, that's really the best outcome. Next best is reuse. Reuse of full devices, reuse of parts of it is also really good, because we're avoiding the emissions of new manufacturing. And then, like, the last step, which is an important piece of the puzzle, is recycling. And that means that we can break it down and reuse the actual commodities within. It can be energy intensive to do so. It is a great practice, but it really should come after reuse and after reduce.
Okay, before I go to my next question, I need to ask because you said unplug. So a lot of people just plug in their cell phones all night so that they are at 100, but that's not good for your cell phone either.
Yeah, especially for charging your cell phone battery, there's an optimal window. But it's even things like your laptop, for example, if it's fully charged, to make sure it's shut down at night. And I'm not perfect, Liz. You can ask my husband, but really, turn your laptop off, and even turn your power bars off so it doesn't use the trickle energy, which, while it seems small, it really adds up over time.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. So let's go back to recycling. What stops people from recycling and doing the right thing?
There's really, I believe, two key challenges that both people face on an individual level as well as businesses. One is simply the awareness of what to do with it. Like, where do you take it? Where does it go? Especially, when you have a can or a plastic, is this type of plastic recyclable here? It's confusing,
Yeah.
right? So the awareness of knowing what to do. The second piece is convenience. See, a lot of people want to do the right thing, but they don't want to be inconvenienced.
Yeah.
So we have to design solutions that encourage people, get them educated, but also make it convenient for them to do the right thing.
I think you're 100% correct, because if it's inconvenient and I have to drive 2 hours to do something, I can think of better things to do with 2 hours rather than spend it in the car each way. But when I look at doing the right thing, sometimes people just don't know what to do.
Yes.
And so they do nothing. And
Yeah.
they think that doing nothing is the right thing.
And I think one of the key things that people really need to get is you need to start somewhere. Like, do something. Do one thing that is a planet-friendly practice, one thing that's different, that's new. October is Circular Economy Month, so it's a perfect time to look at recycling and circularity, what you can do for that.
Okay, well, this is great because when we come back, we're going to talk about what to do with our phones, like where to take them and how to clean them up so that we protect ourselves with a lot of our private information, which is really, really important. So please don't go away. We'll be right back for more. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Today we're discussing planet positive practices for work and life. So Stephanie, let's be proactive and take action here. How do I get started with my old electronics that are at home and at work? What do I do?
Yeah, well, I spoke about this electronic hibernation phenomenon where things just sit in closets and drawers. There's two things to do to get started, regardless of whether you're talking about your personal or your work. One is identify what you have. Like, pull them out of your drawers, pull them out of your closets. If you're a business, chances are you've got a storage room full of tech. Figure out what you have. There are companies that can help with that, but basically identify what you have. The second thing is then look to see which devices have personal data on them or any data that needs to be removed, because those devices will need to be treated differently. And it's really important that you treat them properly.
Okay, so I have a tablet that just broke. Something happened on the right corner. What do I do to remove all of my personal data? How do I do that? And how do I do it properly?
Yeah. So there are do-it-yourself solutions out there. There are basically software that you can download that will wipe the data. Some are free, some are paid. The other option is to use a service provider that does it. And I would always recommend to people that if there is sensitive information on these devices, I would recommend using a certified professional to wipe the data. Like, don't mess around with this because this is really important. You don't want the data to get out. And it's really important to find a certified company, because there are companies out there that say, oh yeah, we'll delete your data. But there's too many stories of devices ending up overseas and data being leaked because they didn't.
I was going to say, well, what happens if I give it to somebody and they go rogue and take all my personal information and then try to blackmail me with it?
Yeah, so you need to find a certified company. The certifications to look for example, are the responsible recycling R2 V3 certification, R2. The other one that Quantum has is the NAID AAA certification that basically guarantees that your data is sanitized at a certain level. And companies like Quantum have sophisticated software to wipe the data so that you can sleep at night.
And I think that's the most important thing. Everybody wants to sleep at night.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
You don't want to we're all worried about AI right now and being duped into, clicking on a phishing link or anything. We want to be able to sleep at night and know that we're comfortable with what we've done and we've done the right thing when it comes to our electronics.
Absolutely. It doesn't cost like a ton, but that's a wise investment for your own peace of mind. Yeah.
So now I've wiped my tablet. There's absolutely no more personal information on there. Now what do I do? Where do I go?
So there's a couple of options. One is if you look at your local municipality, because they often have recycling at the local transfer stations. Another one is if you go on Quantum's website, for example, there's a residential drop-off button, and you can search by your address, and it will give you all the drop-off sites around you. Okay. So basically, get it to the next location that is certified and that you can be rest assured that they're going to deal with it properly.
So, a lot of times I see, cell phones are really expensive, tablets are really expensive. And then you go online and you see a refurbished item. So what does that mean? And, I don't have a lot of money, so I think refurbished works for me. Does it or doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So refurbished means that it is a device that's pre-owned, has been basically refurbished, repaired as necessary, back up to like new standards. And it is a wonderful solution. I actually bought an iPad a few months ago and it is like new. And that's the thing. You can get devices that are a fraction of the cost. You can save usually 30 to 70% off the retail price because it is refurbished. My advice around refurbished is to choose a company that has good reviews, that has certifications, look into the warranty of the device so that you can be rest assured that whatever you're getting is what they say it is, and that if there's any issue, which there typically isn't, but you can reach out to the company.
So before we go to break, 5 seconds, who refurbishes them?
Well, Quantum does, Qnovum is a good
Okay.
site, Best
Okay.
Buy.
All right. So please don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Today we're discussing planet positive practices for work and life, and I'm joined by Stephanie McLarty. She's the head of sustainability at Quantum Lifecycle Partners. Okay, Stephanie, last segment. So we've got a lot to put in here, right?
Absolutely.
So let's go thought-provoking now.
Right.
How do you balance the need for new technology with the goal of reducing your e-waste?
Liz, I think this is a really important question
Yeah.
of our times, right? We want to move forward, but how do we do that in a way that is responsible and that honors the planet? So one of the key things really is to ask the question, do I really
need it?
this device? Like, determine if this is a need or a want. There might be some cases where it is a need, fine. But in a lot of cases, it's a want. Well, in that case, maybe it's appropriate to step back and think, well, maybe I won't buy a new device every year. Maybe it's every other year, every 3 years to really upgrade. So really try that on personally of do I really need this device? The second piece of it is then, if you do choose to upgrade, then make sure that your old device, is properly reused, recycled, that it goes into the right channels and it just doesn't just sit in a drawer.
So, okay, what if I just bought a new phone, right now today, but I want to keep my old phone just in case this one falls into the water or something happens to it. I drop it, it's broken, smashed to pieces. Isn't it smart to keep my old one in my drawer just in case I use it? Or, sorry, in case I need it?
In case you need it. Well, it does happen that devices get broken, but a lot of them can be fixed pretty quickly as well. It might be okay to keep your phone for a certain period of time. If that actually helps you to sleep at night, fine. But there is a thing called cluttered garage syndrome, where we think we're going to need something and we just shove it into the garage until it becomes too cluttered.
Not my garage.
Okay, no, I didn't think so. So what I would suggest in that case is, sure, keep it, but give yourself a time frame, because after a certain period of time, you're not going to go back to that phone anyways. You would, if your phone breaks, if it can't be repaired, you would get a new one. So give yourself a cutoff and make a note in your calendar.
Okay, well, that's good. So how do you encourage coworkers or other community members to adopt better recycling?
I think the overwhelm around recycling and what to do, the lack of awareness is so real. So one of the best things to do is to not tackle everything at once, but instead choose one area. Start somewhere, choose that one area, really, educate others, and, perhaps build a collection event or some kind of activity, maybe do cleanup of that one thing so that people get buy-in and that they understand, the impact of it. The other thing that I really suggest is when you're choosing that one thing is to think about an area where there's a payoff for something else. So On a personal level, maybe you're dealing with, like, maybe it's the phone that's in your
in my drawer.
in your drawer. It's like, okay, I'm giving myself this amount of time and then I'm going to deal with it. On a work level, maybe it's I've got a storage room full of tech. I need to deal with that. And when I do, I'm going to have peace of mind. There's going to be the payoff of peace of mind. So choose that thing where there's also an additional payoff if possible.
So we have less than a minute left, about 45 seconds. If you could change one thing about how society handles waste, what would it be?
I think if I could change one thing, it would be that we view waste differently, that it is not some externality that we can just discard, but really coming back to nature where everything is reused and recycled. There is no waste, that we really start thinking a lot more broadly on, just because this one thing or one item isn't needed anymore here, that there could be another productive use for it. And also in that lens to buy less, take the opportunity to consume less and live better at the same time.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Stephanie says, make a commitment by the end of the month to do one thing, such as clear out your drawer or closet of old electronics and make sure to delete all of your data. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski, and I'm here to empower you and make frugality fashionable. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.